Good morning, Rayfield. It's another wonderful day at Rayfield Family Literacy. And today we are going to be studying mental dynamite again, a very, very important subject today, the golden rule. That's right, and our goal, because we are studying the golden rule. Good morning, Rayfield. We are at the end of our book in our reading on Mental Dynamite by Carnegie Hill. And one of our final chapters is going to be the golden rule applied. There is a master that opens the door of abundance of everything that human beings need. But the key fits two doors. One is the door of faith and the other is the door of fear. The power behind the master key is so limitless that it can surmount all human problems, making royalty the humblest and the approached through the door of faith, and can be approached through the door of faith. This master key gives the privilege of complete control, a privilege that is irrevocable and that can be lost only through neglect of use.
The master key is called the power of thought. Through the power conditioning the mind, can be prepared to recognize appropriate and use this power from within. Power that moves by inspired guidance. And then we have a quote by Andrew Carnegie: "Be silent and listen to the small voice that speaks only through the power of thought." It was this power from within, applied through inspired guidance, that enabled Michelangelo to overcome poverty, cruel opposition, and physical weakness, and led him to that long-last world of recognition as one of the world's greatest artists in history. That same power revealed Michael Edison's secret of nature, enabled him to become one of the world's greatest inventors. This is the same power that lifted Beethoven to the status of genius and in composition of music despite his loss of hearing. Did we know that he was deaf, but he was the best musician ever? It revealed to Marie Curie the secret of radium. It made Charles Steinberg a recognized authority in the field of electricity. And it uncovered Marconi the principle of wireless telegraphy that led finally to the discovery of the radio. These are all the others of whom the world has recognized as geniuses and attained their greatness by conditioning their mind to receive guidance through that power from within. That power which has free access to all of nature's secrets and does not recognize failure as an element of reality. The conditioning begins with the recognition of the power that is available to those who live impersonal lives, devoting their lives to service of mankind, and in spite of unselfish desire to do good, to give before getting. Let's remember that. The holidays are coming, guys, to give before getting. The conditioning begins with the recognition of the power that is available to those who live the impersonal life, devoting their lives to service of mankind, and to be unselfish, to desire to do good, and to give, again, before getting. One may live the impersonal life is known as the golden rule. It has been recognized and applied by every person who has attained true greatness. It has been recognized by every religious leader and every true philosopher. Confucius discovered it and made it the basis of a philosophy that made him beloved. The man of Galilee discovered it, and during the Sermon on the Mount, clothed in the most unsustainable terms ever expressed. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men would do ye good. Many sermons have been preached about the golden rule, but few of them have been interpreted in depth of its meaning. The gist of it is this: lose yourself in unselfish service to others. You will thereby discover the master key to power from within that guides you to the attainment of the most noblest of purposes. There is no mystery to this formula. Anyone who will apply it without opposition, because it benefits those that it affects. It is a well-established fact that the space we occupy in the world is determined precisely by the quality and the quantity of service we render, and by the mental attitude which we render it. These determining factors are within the control of everyone. Equally well-established fact that those who have occupied the greatest amount of space through their influence and public recognition have conquered fear, envy, hatred, intolerance, greed, vanity, egotism, and the desire to get something for nothing. This is a part of the necessary conditioning of the mind to recognize and appropriate that power from within that guides is triumphantly through the resistances of life. Let us now analyze those who have applied the golden rule by living the impersonal life so that we may observe the spirit and the way in which they relate themselves to others. I shall begin with Andrew Carnegie because he has revealed to us through these chapters the intimate details of the inner workings of his mind. At the outset of his career, he adopted the spirit of humility, of heart, and this he maintained throughout his life. In his upward climb from poverty to riches, he made it a part of his responsibility to inspire others to share his success and mandate that extended humbleness to workers in his company. While he accumulated his great fortune, he also made more millions than any other industrialist known to the American people, and most of these began with very little education and with nothing to give except sturdy hands and willing hearts. After Mr. Carnegie had accumulated his fortune, he began to devise ways and means of giving it all back again, thereby proving his understanding of the impersonal life. However, he has not been content with merely giving his money away. He recognized that his greatest asset was the knowledge through which he acquired the wealth. This knowledge revealed to him the scope and the possibilities of the abundant internal power that he had drawn from so eagerly throughout his colorful career. Andrew Carnegie thought not only of his own welfare, but also of the welfare of generations unborn. His legacy is captured in the philosophy of American achievement, which constitutes the known principles and the individual achievements as they have been applied in the development of the American way of life, and the great variety of his callings. Motive is the major importance of all human relationships. Let us therefore take inventory of the benefits one may receive of applying the golden rule, and let us determine how many of the 9 basic motives we act upon in applying the golden rule. The first is the motive of love. This is the greatest of all emotions found on the golden rule, the spirit that inspires us to put aside selfishness, greed, and envy, and to relate ourselves to others if we were in their place. The motive of love expressed through the golden rule enables us to comply freely with that old age admonition to love thyself as thy neighbor. It brings us to full recognition of oneness of mankind, in which anything that damages our neighbor damages us too. Let us therefore apply the golden rule in all of our relationships, particularly as it means in demonstrating the spirit of humanity. This is the greatest of all motives for applying this profound rule. Number 2, the profit motive. This is a sound and universal motive, but one that too often is selfishly expressed. Financial gain attained by applying the golden rule is our most enduring. They carry with them the goodwill of those from whom the gains are attained. This sort of gain enables no ill will, organized opposition, and modesty and envy toward the one who gains it. In fact, it carries it forward of willing cooperation from others that can be had in no other way. It is blessed gain in its strictest sense of the term. Blessed gain in its strictest sense of the term. That was the profit motive, to profit during the golden rule. The motive of self-preservation is number 3. The desire of self-preservation is inborn in every human being. It can best be attained by those who, in their efforts to acquire it, aid others in their attainment of the same desire. The rule, live and let live, when applied, ensures any kind of response from others. Thus, the golden rule applied becomes the surest method of attaining self-preservation through the kindly, cooperation of others. The motive of self-preservation. We are talking about the benefits of the golden rule. And now we're moving on to number 4. The motive of desire for freedom of body and mind. There is a common bond that affects all people. And because it is a universal common bond, it influences every human relationship, placing life's advantages and disadvantages and the losses and the gains substantially on the same level. Just does mirrored out of those who try to take more than their fair share of the gains or to dodge their share of the losses. Those who gain freedom of body and mind the quickest are those who aid others in attaining similar freedom. This is evident in every human relationship, whether it be one of profit or of loss. Freedom must become the common property of one's neighbor and associates if it is to be enjoyed by one's self. Emerson had this same thought in mind when he said, "Nature hates monopoly and exceptions. The waves of the sea do not more speedily seek a level from their loftiness tossing than the varieties of condition of life. They tend to equalize themselves." You guys get that? The waves of the sea tends to equalize themselves. You know how the waves go up and down. There is always some level of circumstance that puts the down overbearing of the strong, the rich, the fortunate, substantially on the same ground with all others. Kind of meaning that all men are equal. That was number 4, the motive of desire for freedom of body and mind. Number 5, the motive of desire for power and fame. Sure, this is going to be interesting. Both power and fame, the desire for which one is the 9 basic motives of human mankind, are circumstances that can be attained through only the friendly cooperation of others through the golden rule applied. There is no escape from this condition. Let's test the statement as you will. Here again, one may profit from the slogan of the Rotary Club, "One profits most who deserves best." He cannot serve best without putting ourselves in the place of those whom we serve in every form of relationship. We cannot acquire and hold hold power and fame without benefiting others in proportion to the benefits that we enjoy ourselves. We begin now to understand why we practice as well as we preach the soundness of the golden rule. It is all that yields dividends. It merely means you benefit yourself in this rule. Thus, we see that those who realize themselves to others by applying the golden rule in all of their acts thereby gain cooperation through 5 of the 9 basic motives. Moreover, they provide themselves with a high degree of immunity against the influence of 2 negative motives, fear and revenge. We might say, therefore, that those who live by the golden rule thereby profit by 7 of the 9 basic motives and provide themselves with protection against the 2 negative motives. Here it is, true, the road to personal power. Here is the true road to personal power. We may acquire this form of power with the full consent and harmonious cooperation of those from whom we acquire it. Therefore, it is a permanent power. Now let us emphasize one feature of the golden rule. It is often overlooked, namely, it is the benefit that can be attained through its use. And not only by believing in its soundness and preaching about soundness to others. A passive attitude toward this great rule of human conduct will avail nothing. Here is the case in fact. A passive attitude is one of no practical value. Deeds, not words, must be one's motto. Let's reiterate that. Deeds, not words, must be one's motto. The golden rule has been preached in many forms over and over and over again for thousands and thousands of years. But the world has a large acceptance only to its preaching. It is rarely have people in each generation discovered the potential powers available through the application of the golden rule. It is here that we must understand how the golden rule must be engaged, as it is in tearing the works of civilization asunder, meaning that words or deeds, not words. What does that mean, guys? Deeds, it means that you must do it and not just talk about it. Hint, hint. The benefits of this philosophy are so varied and stupendous in a number of ways, a number of impractical ways to undertake the insurmountable amount or this point of evidence. I wish to emphasize the benefits accrued to those who apply this philosophy as a matter of habit in all of their relationships with others. We're talking about deeds, not words. Do not always expect to receive direct benefits from those whom you relate yourself to or whom relate to the golden rule. Because if you do, you will definitely be disappointed. There are some who will not respond in kind, but their failure to respond will be their loss and not yours. Here is an excellent example of what I mean. In a certain small town in the northern part of the United States, a man lived who was recognized far above as a citizen of the town. He has held that position for a better part of the past 25 years or more. Single-handedly, he raised the money for one of the finest churches in the town. In return for his service he received abuse from some of the members of the church and from some of those townspeople outside of the church, from those people who disliked him because of his leadership and perhaps for the reason that the architect whom he wished to see get more of the contract, did not get it. This man financed and built one of the most important subdivisions in the town, thereby adding beauty and value to the surrounding real estate of the town in general. He owned and operated one of the largest and most successful businesses in the town, at which he employed a large number of people and gave them excellent salaries. His influence extended throughout the United States, and because of his reputation, getting things done, he had acquired many new industries in this section. By and large, he has probably done more for his state than any other individual now living. He managed to keep his records so clean, and he was so friendly with all of the political parties and practical and local politicians, and although he allied with none of them, his influence at the national capital is such that he gained for his state many advantages from the federal government. In every man lived by the golden rule, it is most practical. It is the most practical application in all of human relationships of this kind. You might think, therefore, that you would be a hero in town because of all the great things that he did. However, he is not. On the contrary, they don't like him at all. On occasion, they had been unjust toward him both in word and in deed. Given these actions, he would be justified in retaliating by only what he realized. It is going right on every neighbor's wherever they would permit him to do so. He never speaks of the ingratitude, nor does he show by his deeds that he resents it, because he lives by the golden rule. Someone might ask, what does this man benefit from living by the golden rule? In the first place, he's prospering materially, and it does so much more dramatically than the average citizen of the town. We suppose that it would satisfy some people, but let us look further. This man is comparatively young. He is growing rapidly, spiritually, mentally, and financially. He is prospering in the broader sense that he compromises not only his material benefits, but also a sound reputation, and he constantly attracts unsolicited opportunities to protect his influence and all of his material fortune. As we learn to live by the golden rule from this example, we are learning that it is better to give than to receive. It is best to put others before yourself. The golden rule simply means to do unto others as you would
have them to do unto you. That's our lesson for today, folks. Let's have a great day. The golden rule. Congratulations, Rayfield. You're doing a great job and learning wonderful things, exciting things, day after day in our activities of daily living. Let's have a great day.